In the 6th chapter of John's Gospel, we read the Bread of Life discourse, where Jesus informs his followers they must eat of his flesh and blood. This saying was too hard for many to understand or accept, so they departed. It seems to me the Eucharist, like Jesus himself, sets before us great theological questions, for which our answers have eternal consequences. Is Jesus who he claimed to be? And is the Eucharist really what he claimed it to be? As a High Church Anglican, also known as an Anglo-Catholic, I, like many of my brothers, struggled with the theology of the Eucharist because we simply accepted the Catholic dogma of transubstantiation. But that is not the official teaching of Anglicanism. In fact, it's rejected. Like many Episcopal priests before me, I began to wonder if what I was doing at the altar was really transforming bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus. Or was Anglicanism's description of real presence, though vague, a better definition? Could such an important teaching of Jesus be so vague? Of course not. One day, while celebrating the Eucharist, the Gospel reading was about building the house on a solid foundation. While holding the Eucharist in my hand, it occurred to me this rock foundation is not just Jesus, but the Eucharist itself. The Catholic Church has inflicted more harm upon itself throughout the centuries with false teachings, heresies, and such, in addition to the waves and whims of society beating against the bark of Peter to sway its teachings. And yet, here she stands. You see, if we get the theology of Jesus correct, if we get the theology of the Eucharist correct, then everything else falls into place, because the two are the same. In the Bread of Life discourse, people walked away from truth because it was too hard. But we have before us an exciting time as we prepare for the Eucharistic Congress, to re-embrace the teachings of Jesus' words, to embrace communion with God, with the faith of the Church, with the saints of the past, and those who are to come. The miracle of the Eucharist is that everything that ascended into heaven has descended into the most blessed sacrament of the altar. My name is Father Mark Lewis, pastor of Our Lady of the Atonement Catholic Church in San Antonio, Texas, and this is the Eucharistic Revival in the Ordinariate.